special edition of Hannity, Trump versus the left. Now, since the day that Donald Trump announced that he was running for office, well, the left has been trying to vilify him and his positions. Tonight, for the hour, we're going to show you how radical liberals really compare to Donald Trump. Let's take a look.
I will build a great, great wall, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
We don't need a wall, and we don't need barbed wire.
Black Twitter to Black Lives Matter, that America's eyes have been opened.
The police are the most mistreated people in this country. I will tell you that.
Black lives matter, or do all lives matter? Let's put that question to Senator Sanders.
Black lives matter.
You're going to hear it once. All lives matter. What I want to do is bring our jobs back from China. Bring our jobs back from Mexico.
We're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
It's going to get worse and worse, folks. We can be politically correct and we can be stupid.
And here with reaction, the editor-in-chief of LifeZet.com, Fox News contributor Laura Ingraham. All right, think about this. The left, okay, you see these rallies, the American flag, they're against the wall. Black lives matter or all lives? Well, they say Black lives matter. I and you and Donald Trump say all lives matter. Or even waterboarding, the three people that we waterboarded, which led to bin Laden, or, energy independence and not taking away coal miners' jobs and putting coal out of business. They're very profound differences when you think about it, right?
Yeah, of course. I think the election really is going to be a choice between America as an independent, free, and sovereign country, Sean, or America as just part of a global order. And clearly, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Democrat Party is happy to have America just be one other country. Remember his famous or infamous comment about American exceptionalism? Yeah, but there's Greek exceptionalism and British exceptionalism. It's just an amazing comment from a president of the United States back in 2009. And that really did tell us a lot about how radically different the left's view of America as a special place is from, I think, ours, and I think the overwhelming majority of Americans. So the choice is stark, and it couldn't be more serious.
You know, and you think about this. What do you say to those? Let me backtrack. I am not going to spend my time on radio and television trying to tell people who to vote for. But to me, on every major issue, the economy, on spending, on judges, on immigration, on vets, on the military, on ISIS, saying the words radical Islam, education, go right on down the list, energy. There's such profound differences here, and yet some people are unwilling to acknowledge that. Why?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons, probably complex. I mean, I think a lot of them have staked the Republican Party on globalization, and for a lot of these fellows, not all of them, but for a lot of these folks, they tied Bushism to conservatism, and they think if it's just done again, maybe by another person, it'll work out better for America. But America's just said no to that. It couldn't be clearer. It said no to McCain, who was an extension of Bush. It said no to Romney, who had a lot of problems, but he was pretty much an extension of the globalization. He was okay on trade, but on a lot of these issues, he was much closer to the establishment. People just said no to this.
All right, so
I think they're angry about that.
Paul Ryan is going through making Trump jump through hoops to get his support, based on all the issues and the differences that exist between Trump and Hillary. Then you've got Lindsey Graham. He promised he'd support the nominee. No. Jeb Bush, same thing. Then you've got George Will urging Republicans to beat Donald Trump in all 50 states. Then Bill Kristol. He's aligning with Senator Ben Sasse and Mitt Romney. I like Mitt Romney. We all supported Mitt Romney.
Yeah, he's a nice person.
And they're talking about third party running against him. And I'm thinking, wow, this is almost like sabotage. And I remember kind of biting the bullet and having to support Bob Dole and John McCain.
Remember those days? Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think, Sean, again, a lot of these folks, they have goals, and a lot of the goals are the same goals that we have. They want a smaller government. They want American growth back, job growth. They want a renewed sense of patriotism. They want a foreign policy that's meaningful, so we're not the laughingstock of the world. They do want a better military, bigger military. How will any of that become a reality, closer to a reality under a Clinton administration? I mean, if we cease to be a free and independent country, if judges can rule by fiat from the bench at the Supreme Court,
how about that one issue?
All of their goals are going to be upended, all of them.
All right, so if he releases the names of conservative justices, as he said that he would, I'm assuming he's going to, in the vein of Scalia and Thomas, if he builds the wall and if he just does energy independence, those three things, America would be better off than another 4 years of Obama via Hillary Clinton.
It's almost like people, the people who are, I almost say never Trumpers or never thinkers now. I don't mean to be mean, but it's at some point it becomes insanity. They will not get closer to their ideals after 4 years of Hillary. And they think after 4 years of Hillary, we'll probably have immigration amnesty. They'll probably cut some deal on that. We'll have more immigrants voting. Many of them are voting for bigger benefits. We know that from the polling. So they think there's going to be some magic thing happen between now and 2020 where everyone's going to stand up and suddenly be like, oh, yes, Rubio's our guy. Or, I don't know.
Well, here's my question. That's a great point. I've thought deeply about this. Every time, I don't know, and I defy anybody, if you were a Cruz supporter, a Rubio supporter, a Kasich supporter, whoever supporter, let's walk through the electoral map together. Tell me what states they would win. Tell me how they get to 270. Because at the end of the day, I don't know who's the most electable, but clearly the voters thought Trump was, and they may be right if he's competing in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and maybe puts a state like New Jersey in play. That would be huge.
I mean, that's our system. That's who they chose overwhelmingly. And I know folks are bitter and unhappy, and it hurts to lose. I understand that. We've all lost in our life. It's not easy. But in the end, both Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, they're young guys. They have a really bright future in the party if they just keep their powder dry, and if they learn some important lessons. I'm not trying to sound patronizing because they're both really smart guys. But they have to learn some lessons here. Reagan became a better candidate after '76. He became a phenomenal candidate, and he learned, and he got better, and his communication got even more impressive and more powerful. So I think there's a lot of lessons. I think people are going to learn them sometimes slowly, maybe not as fast as you and I are fast learners, Sean. Let's face it.
And you're more impatient. You told me the other night.
I'm terrible. But I think in the end, if people learn the right lessons, if they don't appear to be sabotaging Trump, I mean, I think if they do appear to be sabotaging Trump, let's just put it this way, they're going to become irrelevant really fast, and they're just not going to be part of the solution. And I think the rest of us are going to just say, God bless you, but get out of the way because we got to save the country.
I agree. There's a lot at stake this election. Laura, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Coming up next on the special edition of Hannity.
We're going to have a strong border. Yeah, we're going to have the wall. And who's going to pay for the wall? 100%, by the way. 100%.
Donald Trump, he wants to build a border wall, and the left responds by waving Mexican flags outside of his rallies. Former Governor Jan Brewer and Sheriff Joe Arpaio will weigh in on all of that, and then later tonight.
The police are the most mistreated people in this country. I will tell you that.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
Donald Trump, he says police are treated horribly in America. The left, they spew vile anti-cop rhetoric on a regular basis. Bo Dietl, Eric Guster, the Reverend Darrell Scott will join us. All of that and more on the special edition of Trump versus the Left on Hannity.
Number one, you wouldn't even be talking, and you wouldn't have asked that as the first question if it weren't for me when I talked about illegal immigration. It wouldn't even be a big subject. But we either have a country or we don't have a country. We have at least 11 million people in this country that came in illegally. They will go out. They will come back. Some will come back, the best, through a process. They have to come back legally.
And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump versus the Left. Now, the presumptive GOP nominee has made the issue of illegal immigration a major topic in the 2016 race. And not surprisingly, Trump's proposal to secure America's borders has come under attack from the liberal left and politicians. Watch this.
Instead of building walls, we need to be tearing down barriers.
I
I think we've done a really good job securing the border, and I think that those who say we haven't are not paying attention to everything that was done for the last 15 years under both President Bush and President Obama. Immigration from Mexico has dropped considerably. It's just not happening anymore.
The so-called immigration problem we face today, at this particular moment, is a trumped-up and exaggerated problem. We don't need a wall, and we don't need barbed wire. We need to fix our broken criminal justice system.
And left-wing open border agitators, they followed that lead and taken things even further by actually waving Mexican flags outside of Donald Trump's rallies. Here to react, former Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, Maricopa County Sheriff, the one and only Joe Arpaio. Okay, we've secured the border. We've done a good job of securing the border. So everything, Sheriff, that I'm hearing about the impact of illegal immigration on our criminal justice system, educational system, healthcare system is a lie. That drug warehouse that I went to that was filled floor to ceiling with drugs, that's not a problem? Where does Hillary get that information from?
Well, I don't know. You know, she badmouths me nationally, and also the other guy, Bernie, did too, threatening when he becomes president, he's going to use his power to go after me. Let him do it. They're both not going to be president anyway, but it is a big problem. You know, Donald Trump, back in July, opened the door for illegal immigration. In fact, that's when I supported him way back then. I knew he had the guts to do something, and I know something will be done. That's what we need. We have to cooperate with Mexico. But what's the big brainer about a wall? You know, you put the wall up, you keep the drugs from coming in, you keep illegal immigration from coming in.
And you keep ISIS from coming in. How's that? How about we keep ISIS and other enemies of America from coming in?
Okay, if they don't want to pay for it, take away their foreign aid. That's what I did when I was head of the DEA in Mexico City under Nixon. Hey, he threatened them with taking away their money. You'll be surprised how quick they did cooperate, and that can be done again today. Wall or no wall, but I think we need the wall anyway.
Governor, what do you make of how Democrats just totally lie and mischaracterize what's actually happening on the border? What is your response to what they say, we don't have a problem there?
Well, it's absolutely, Sean, outrageous. The fact of the matter is they know that we have a huge problem. All of America know that we have a problem, given the fact that we have drug cartels all over this wonderful country of ours, and we reap all the crime from them coming across our open borders. They don't want the borders closed. That we've known that for a long time, and everybody has their suspicions. But after sitting and listening to all this rhetoric, the bottom line is I would not be surprised that, and people will agree with me on this, I think, that they have the borders open, they have illegal immigration, they call it immigration, it's illegal immigration, and they're bringing people in here. Then you've got a president that gives them amnesty and DACA so they can stay in the country, and then they can get their papers, and then they can vote, and then they can make our country left.
So Democrats, Sheriff, they want a voting bloc for generations. Republicans, they want to cater to their big business buddies that want cheap labor. I actually think the Democrats are smarter because they're thinking more long term, and Republicans, they're not thinking about the American worker that's lost their job because illegal immigration is competing with Americans for jobs and driving down labor costs, right? And wages.
Yeah, but if you think that they wanted to, sign up, 1 million immigrants, if they think they're all going to vote Democrat, that's not true. I think Donald will get a good share of those people. So they're off base. Actually, a lot of them don't vote anyway. So that's just a little, rhetoric they're throwing out there against Donald Trump. So that's not going to work. We got to do something in Mexico City, Sean. No. I'm trying to get there to meet the president. Now they're saying they don't want me there, hooking me with Trump. I don't think that's right. Yeah. So there's a lot of politics involved in it, and you know that. I know that.
All
the
right.
people
Governor,
know that.
You know the state of Arizona. Last time it went Democrat. Will it go for Donald Trump this time?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt.
No doubt at all.
There's a lot of none. Mm-mm. People are fed up. They're fed up, and if you vote for Hillary, what are you going to do? You're going to have another 4 years of Barack Obama and his terrible policies. We need to turn this country around, and we need to make America great again. And Mr. Trump can do that.
Well, we could all hope. Thank you both for being with us and the job you're doing and your outspokenness. And coming up next on the special edition of Hannity.
And by the way, the police are the most mistreated people in this country. I will tell you that. All right, folks, you're going to hear it once. All lives matter. All lives matter.
It's thanks in large part to the activism of young people like many of you, from Black Twitter to Black Lives Matter, that America's eyes have been opened.
Now, Donald Trump says all lives matter. He supports the police, while the left, they back the anti-cop Black Lives Matter movement. Bo Dietl, Eric Guster, and the Reverend Daryl Scott will react. And then later tonight.
We're going to bring back our jobs, and we're going to keep our jobs.
Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to America. Hillary, well, she promised to destroy America's coal industry. We'll have reaction on the special edition of Hannity, Donald Trump versus the American left. Straight ahead. And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump versus the left. Now, when it comes to the Black Lives Matters movement, Donald Trump and liberals have very different views. Take a look at where Trump stands.
By the way, the police are the most mistreated people in this country. I will tell you that. All right, folks, you're going to hear it once. All lives matter. All lives matter.
Now, Democrats are the complete opposite when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement and the support that they give the police. Well, they don't really give it, do they? Watch this.
Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon. Pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon.
Now, instead of condemning the Black Lives Matter movement for chanting anti-police rhetoric, well, President Obama, he praises them. Take a look.
I'm so proud of the new guard of black civil rights leaders who understand this. It's thanks in large part to the activism of young people like many of you, from Black Twitter to Black Lives Matter, that America's eyes have been opened.
Now, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders have also backed this movement. Take a look.
Young people have taken to the streets, dignified and determined, urging us to affirm the basic fact that Black lives matter.
I do believe in equal treatment for African Americans who are right to proclaim the moral principle that Black lives matter.
Here with reaction are former NYPD Detective Bo Dietl from the New Spirit Revival Center, the Reverend Daryl Scott, and attorney and political commentator Eric Guster. All right, why would the president, Hillary, and Bernie Sanders praise a group that chanted pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, and talk about dead cops? Why would presidential candidates praise that group? Don't you think that's inappropriate?
It's totally appropriate, but
totally
what they said was inappropriate. That small little 10-second clip. Come on, Sean, you can do
What do
better
we
than
want?
that.
Dead cops. When do we want them now?
What the president said at the Howard University commencement speech that you played a small clip of, he was talking about being very proactive with riots and being very proactive with making sure
he invited them to the White House. Hillary and Bernie praised this group.
And he told them to stop doing that. He told them to not interrupt. So you're saying
how do you know what he told them? He never said that.
You also said that the president should not praise them,
Pastor,
but he actually told them what to do.
Hillary Clinton.
You know that, Sean.
Does the president of the United States belong inviting people that saying, what do we want? Dead cops, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon?
He didn't invite them.
Listen, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders both said that because it's election time. And they're using Black Lives Matter as a slogan to get the black vote, pure and simple. If either of those were commander-in-chief, they would respond in a different way. And we know that. There's a rogue element in police. We know that. There's a rogue element in the military. There's a rogue element in the Black Lives Matter. But we can't glamorize that rogue element simply for the sake of a mob mentality.
Bo, let me ask you, from a police perspective, are police hurt by that?
Absolutely.
What do you mean?
The morale in the police department is at the lowest I've ever seen across the country. I'm in Vegas right now, New York City. This president has been the most divisive president that we've ever had in race relationship. He could have brought us all together. He jumps ugly with Trayvon Martin. He jumps ugly with Ferguson, and that causes the problems. Now we have people. I've seen the late 60s. I was around here. I seen the divisiveness then. Now it's at an all-time high, Sean.
Yes,
I just can't believe what has happened in the country, and they're using it, like the Reverend said, they're using it as a political tool right now.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, when President Trump comes into office, it's going to end, because he'll bring people together. He's sick and tired of this division also. People don't remember one thing. When something happens, who do you call? You call the police to help you. And where are they? In Chicago, in Baltimore, the highest crime rates of murders in this country. And who are they run by? Democratic mayors. Where are they doing black lives
Trump
in
is the most
Chicago and
divisive
Baltimore?
candidate we've seen in 2 decades.
Is he hanging out with give me an example. Is he hanging out with people that called for dead cops? Is he inviting them to his house?
He offers to pay the legal fees. He offers to pay the legal fees for people who are punching out protesters.
I keep
bringing up the truth.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did he
I keep bringing up the truth.
Pigs in a blanket, Eric. Pigs in a blanket.
You're talking
You're talking about
a small fraction.
What do we want?
You're talking about a small fraction
and
of that
your
movement.
candidate supports
If you're
that.
talking about a small fraction of a movement, how could you bring up him offering to pay
When we come back,
your candidate
for the special edition of Hannity.
Daryl Scott.
We're going to bring back our jobs, and we're going to keep our jobs.
Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
Donald Trump, he wants to bring jobs back to America, while liberals like Hillary Clinton, she wants to kill off entire industries. This is how these people put food on their table. We'll get reaction also tonight.
But we have to be vigilant. There is a radical Islamic terrorism problem that, our president doesn't even want to talk about.
Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace.
Now, Trump calls the terrorists what they really are, radical Islamists, but Democrats, they don't do it. They're afraid to do so. Our panel will weigh in, and more on this special edition of Hannity, Trump versus America's left. Straight ahead.
We're going to bring back our jobs, and we're going to keep our jobs. We're not going to let companies leave. Now, if they want to go to a different state, good luck, compete. But when they start going to different countries, and in many cases countries that devalue their currency and make it impossible for our companies to compete, that's not going to happen.
You have millions of people out there that can't get jobs. We're going to bring our jobs back to our country, and we're not going to let people leave so easily anymore.
And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity. Now, that was Donald Trump talking about his plans to bring jobs back to America. Now, his proposals are very different from the 2016 Democratic presidential candidates. For example, here's Hillary Clinton bragging that she will kill America's coal industry if elected.
I'm the only candidate which has a policy about how to bring economic opportunity using clean, renewable energy as the key into coal country. Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
Now, if you thought that was bad, listen to Clinton's rival, Senator Bernie Sanders, the socialist, explain how he is a democratic socialist.
So let me take this opportunity to define for you, simply and straightforwardly, what democratic socialism means to me. It means building on what Franklin Delano Roosevelt said when he fought for guaranteed economic rights for all Americans. And it builds on what Martin Luther King Jr. said in 1968 when he stated, and I quote, "This country has socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for the poor."
Joining us now from the Fox Business Network, Charles Gasparino, the co-host of The Five, Eric Bolling, Kimberly Guilfoyle. Let's take one industry right now, the energy spectrum, the energy industry. So Hillary wants to put coal miners and coal mining out of business. She doesn't support fracking. She doesn't support drilling. just if the difference on that one big issue, how many jobs would be created and how good would it be for our national security if we move towards energy independence, which Donald Trump has told me repeatedly he wants to do?
Yeah, I mean, we're way behind already thanks to this, 8 years of Barack Obama, the job-killing machine, followed up, what, by Hillary Clinton? I mean, who even has that within their heart, their soul, to be somebody who literally takes food off of people's plates, okay, and money out of their wallets by saying, I'm going to basically ruin your life. I want to put this industry out of business. That is not responsible. That is not someone who's going to create jobs. That is not someone who embraces the free market or the energy industry, fracking, etc. All of this should be on the plate.
I interviewed the guy that confronted Hillary. This poor guy, Bo Copley's his name. I interviewed him.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I vote for somebody that says, I want to kill your job, your industry, what puts food on your family's table? How dumb is that?
Jobs in the economy, number one by far across the board of voters in America. CNN poll, Fox poll, exit polls everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
President Obama, when he first got into office, he was in, I think it was San Francisco on the West Coast, and said, if you build a coal-fired power plant, we will put you out of business. He said it, and he said regulation will put you out of business.
And he did it.
And he means
She took that ball and ran with it. So she's going to be the next Barack Obama. So 4 or 8 more years of that.
She spiked the ball.
But it doesn't stop there. Under Obama,
Sean,
91 million people have given up looking for work.
95 million people out of the labor force.
Out of the labor force. If you bring that back in,
Sean,
would be hard. Hold on, Charlie. Hang on. So President Obama says, I'm going to be elected on hope and change. People are dropping out of the labor force. They've decided they've changed their mind. They can't even look for a job anymore. They've dropped out. You want more of that? Knock yourself out.
All right, Charlie, let me throw another stat at you. For those people that may still consider electing Hillary, who I think would duplicate Obama's policies, you have 20% of American families, not one single member of that family is in the labor force. If you look at young men between the ages of 18 and 34, you've got 1 in 6 either incarcerated or out of work. The country is dying.
Listen, listen. You have between Hillary and Bernie Sanders, you literally have Dumb and Dumber. They've sold out the working class. By the way, the Democratic Party has done this for years. They've sold out the working class, working men and women in this country for environmentalists. That's their constituency. They're sticking to it. I will say this, though. As bad as they are, what scares a lot of people about Donald Trump, okay, is if you listen to some of his comments on taxes, on debt, on trade, particularly taxes, over the last couple of days. I mean, he was doing, every day he was doing a 180. And I'll tell you, you need some consistency.
He clarified it, but he did another thing, Charlie. He also brought into his camp.
Sean, he clarifies it every day. That's the problem. Every day he's clarifying.
All right.
Every day.
He's not.
So where does he stand?
Charlie, I got it. I understand. But he also does have a plan, and he also brought in somebody I think is pretty smart, Larry Kudlow, to help fine-tune his tax and economic policy.
I know. Right.
So I think, listen, if you're expecting him to have talking points like every other politician, don't hold your breath because you're not going to survive.
With all due respect, Sean, this is easy stuff. He has a tax plan. It's pretty simple where it was, what the rates were. Even before he got to the negotiating table, and this is what worries me as a free market person, he wasn't even at the negotiating table, and he started talking up the lowest rate. He started saying maybe my rates should go up. By the way, that chapter was not in the art of the deal.
Charlie, he said his rates
before you get to the table.
Maybe
before you get to the table.
He may have to raise the rates from his lower rate that he lowers taxes across the board.
And here's the absurdity.
Across the board, Charlie.
And Eric,
I mean, you're wrong.
Eric, let's talk some common sense here. Let's talk some common sense.
Charlie, would you rather have 90% Bernie Sanders or maybe 65% Hillary Clinton? Or 28% Donald Trump. Take your pick.
Eric, think about this.
I gotta wrap this up. Charlie, you gotta let someone else talk.
You're gonna have if Donald Trump gets elected president, you will have a Republican Congress. He won't have to negotiate.
All right, Kimberly Guilfoyle, last word. We got a break.
I just don't understand where Charlie's going with this. I mean, I get you don't like the guy, but really, I mean, are you team Hillary because she's a job killer and destroyer and has no clue how to make a buck?
Team nobody.
But that's winning. That's a winning solution for America.
Well, team nobody. You know what that means? That you might as well just vote for Hillary again. That's half a vote for her, Charlie. All right, we gotta go.
Write yourself in, Charlie. Write your own.
Coming up next on this special edition of Hannity.
But we have to be vigilant. There is a radical Islamic terrorism problem that, our president doesn't even want to talk about.
Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace.
Finally, somebody who's not afraid to use the term radical Islam, that's Donald Trump. Democrats, they don't dare utter those words. When we come back, our panel will weigh in and much more as we continue the special edition of Hannity, Trump versus the left. Straight ahead. Welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Trump versus the American left. Now, the FBI director and several top national security officials have all warned that ISIS does pose a growing risk to America's security and that the terror group is trying to infiltrate the refugee population coming to this country. In response, Donald Trump has proposed a temporary ban on foreign Muslims who cannot be properly vetted from entering the country. Now, Trump is also not afraid to label our enemies for who they really are. Let's take a look.
We have to be vigilant. There is a radical Islamic terrorism problem that, our president doesn't even want to talk about. All you have to do is take a look at the World Trade Center, take a look at San Bernardino or Paris, what a disaster that was. Again, it's temporary, and ultimately it's my aim to have it lifted. Now, right now there is no ban, but I would like to see, there has to be an idea, there has to be something, because there are some pretty bad things going on, and I have Muslim friends, great Muslim friends, who are telling me, you are so right, there's something going on that we have to get to the bottom of it.
Now, meanwhile, the Democrats, they just refuse to even utter the words radical Islam. Watch this.
Do you agree with that characterization, radical Islam?
I don't think we're at war with Islam. I don't think we're at war with all Muslims.
Radical Islam, is that a phrase you don't...
I think that you can talk about Islamists who clearly are also jihadists.
Very quickly, do either of you radical Islam? Do either of you use that phrase?
I don't think the term is what's important.
Our enemies respect no religious freedom. Al-Qaeda's cause is not Islam.
Here was reaction from the Islamic House of Wisdom, Imam Muhammad Ali Alahi, Act for America founder Brigitte Gabriel, and Fox News national security analyst KT McFarland. Imam, is there such a thing as radical Islamic terrorism, sir?
I just heard what Donald Trump said. Too much talk these days.
I didn't ask you that question. Listen,
my question is that when I hear Mr. Trump, I wonder who is the role model of Trump. Is it Jesus or Jefferson? Is it Bible or the Bible of the country?
Imam, Imam, I'm not going to let you filibuster. I asked you a question. Simple. Is there such a thing as radical Islamic terrorism? Yes or no?
Radicalism is wrong, whether Islamic, Christianity,
radical Islamic
Judaism,
terrorism. Does it exist?
Any time,
do
any
people
place.
kill in the name of Allah?
When the victims of radicalism and terrorism are Muslim, like yesterday, 90 Muslims were bombed and buried in Baghdad. I didn't hear any voice of justice, any voice of sympathy, any solidarity for the people who were murdered in Baghdad yesterday. So that is wrong. Where is humanity?
We are dealing with radical Islam.
This Imam can't even admit. He can't even say. Neither can Clinton. Neither can Bernie. Neither can Obama. Why?
I understand why the Imam isn't going to admit it, but what bothers me is the American left refuses to admit it. They have a catechism that America has not been a force for good in the world, and they have a political correctness that they're not going to ever call anybody out because, after all, we don't want to offend anybody. As a result of that, if you talk about American patriotism, there's something wrong with you. If their idea is that the United States pollutes the planet, we have inequality of wealth, we're evil, we start wars. If somehow the United States leads from behind, takes a couple of steps back, the rest of the world comes forward in this kind of kumbaya, happy global community. What's happened, though? We've seen what's happened when we step behind. China rising, trying to grab the South China Sea, Russia doing the same thing, Iran doing the same thing, and radical Islam exploding.
It seems to be the modern evil in our time. Imam, I'll give you one more chance. Is there such a thing as radical Islam? Yes or no?
They are not Muslims. They are not Islamic.
They're not?
They are enemies of
when
Islam.
When they kill in the name of Allah? And they say Allahu Akbar?
Look at 90 people were
and they're
bombed
promised
and buried in
72
Baghdad
virgins
yesterday.
in heaven?
They were Muslims. The victims are Muslims.
Allahu
they are
Akbar.
criminals.
What does Allahu Akbar mean?
I don't care. They do it in the name of Jesus. They do it in the name of Moses. But they are the same
and where is that happening?
Doesn't matter.
And
look at the radicals in West Bank.
What's the name of that group? Can you name that group?
What about those who burned the babies in West Bank? They do it in the name of Judaism.
Thank you all for being with us. Coming up, Hillary Clinton claims she's a champion for women, but can her supporters actually name the things that she's done to back that up? We have incredible video you don't want to miss coming up next. And welcome back to the special edition of Hannity Trump versus the American left. Now, Hillary Clinton claims she's a champion for women. Really? Watch this.
Now, the other day, Mr. Trump accused me of playing the, quote, woman card. Well, if fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman card, then deal me in.
She forgot about smearing and besmirching and, well, mischaracterizing all those women that came out against Bill. But anyway, she made those comments, but we sent David Webb to a Clinton rally to ask her supporters to name one thing Hillary's done for women. Just one. Watch.
What has Hillary Clinton done for women?
Well, she really supports women, I mean, even from before 1990s.
But what's she actually done?
Well, she's represented them very well, I believe.
What has she done for women?
Well, she's been an example of what women can achieve.
We women look at Hillary, we see ourselves. We don't see a man telling us what to do, what we have done, and what we can do.
What has she done for women?
What she said. She's made women know that they can do anything they want to do and go into any field they want to go into, and they're just as strong as men.
What has she done for women?
Look at her record.
Can you give me some things?
I don't have any things for you.
She's broken the glass ceiling, and she wants all women to be able to do the same thing.
Can you tell me what Hillary Clinton has done for women?
Well, I don't know if I can do
that. So sad. Here with reaction, radio talk show host, television host, Dr. Gina Loudon, and Fox News contributor, Ebony Williams. They can't answer.
No, they can't.
Actually, she pays men at the Clinton Foundation, what, 38 cents more an hour than
Sean, look, it's sad, and it
38% more, rather.
It doesn't give me any joy to say it, because here's the issue, right? She's been in such proximity to power. We're talking 30 plus years, very close to the top of the food chain of this country, and many women and men, as we saw in the clip, struggle to articulate one policy thing she's done to advance the causes of women. And women are no different than anyone else, you guys. As a part of the electorate, they want something in return for their voter loyalty, and many women feel like they're not getting it with Hillary Clinton.
And they're so concerned, women are concerned about the same things men are concerned about. I wrote a whole book about this. They're concerned about economic security. They're concerned about national security. I'll tell you, Sean, what Hillary Clinton has done for women, and that is that she has danced on the sexual assaults of women that her own husband...
Is that going to resonate? Like, for example, I'll make sure by the time Election Day gets here that everyone understands about the Clinton women. I have my little plans. I'll make sure they know. Will young women be offended by that when they learn what we all know?
Of course they'll be offended. They don't know because they weren't around then, but when they're made aware of this, statistically, if you watch the polling on this, statistically, it does matter to them that it's not just that Bill Clinton did it and that she stood idly by and that she intimidated them and that they paid Paula Jones $850,000. Right? It's not just those things. It's that she's still. Why is she still? She could still today
Ebony,
be.
is that going to resonate?
I don't know if it will, because a lot of young women feel like, I wasn't there for that, I don't want to be a part of it. But I would advise the Clinton camp this, if I was working for her. You got to make your case. It is no more right to say you are good for women because you're a woman, that it's good for a black candidate to say I'm good for blacks because I'm black, or I'm good for Latinos because I'm Latino. You have to make a specific,
I'm good for Irish people. I'm Irish.
Well, because your last name is Hannity, your first name's Sean, of course.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, though,
I have great recommendations for eating. 7-course meal, 6-pack and a potato.
You're good for America, Sean, and that's what's important.
By the way, if I wasn't Irish, I couldn't even say that joke. That's how politically
correct we are.
correct the society is.
But
it's funny.
It's funny, but it really bothers me, because I want Hillary Clinton, I want every candidate to earn every vote, and you can't just say, because I represent you, you should vote for me.
I got to end things here. Great piece. Great job.
Thank you, Sean.
And that's all the time we have left this evening. Thank you for being with us. Have a great night.